Welcome back, everyone, to Leal Legacy's Radnarok, and a retrospective episode for the adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad from 1949. Kind of. Released in the U.S. in 1950, but originally released to the public 1949. Directed by James Alger, Clyde Geronimi, Geronimi. You tell me how that's pronounced. Jack Kenny also directed. We got some writing credits to Washington Irving, of course, the author of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, and Kenneth Grahame, Grahame, Grahame. Don't know. You tell me how that's pronounced. Oh, by the way, I have to say this at the top of every episode. Dyslexic, you know? So, not going to pronounce a lot of things right. Going to read things real goofy. So if you can't handle that, please listen anyway. Wait for my coffee to kick in. I am drinking pumpkin spice because, you know, Ichabod and Mr. Toad. It's spooky time movie, right? Of course it is. Although I'm not feeling super confident in my pumpkin spice coffee because, I don't know. It's weird. I think maybe I waited too long because it's like that weird, slightly warmer than room temperature. But it's also really smooth. I don't know. I made a cold brew with it. It wasn't very smooth. But also I used tap water for the cold brew. I don't know. Anyway, what are we talking about today? Oh, that's right. Let's see. Then we got Erdman Penner, story and development of the Disney version of these two classics, as well as Winston Hibbler, Joe Renaldi? Reniti? Is that an L? Man, I need to get my eyes checked. I'm not even joking anymore. Rinaldi. Yeah, that is an L. That makes way more sense. Joe Rinaldi. Yeah, I really do need to get my eyes checked. I don't know. I feel like I'm still seeing pretty well. I am just unconventionally far back from my laptop. Ted Sears, Homer Brightman, and Harry Reeves. All story. Oh, Harry Reeves just got story. I suppose he didn't get hand development. I wonder why. But thanks to those fine, creative folks for giving us this classic. Now, do you guys... I presume you watched the watch-along already with me. Listened to the watch-along already. And, yeah. Such a unique... I don't feel like The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad get the due credit it deserves. Like, it's such a fun... It's a package film, for sure. Two different stories. I really love Disney narration cartoons, and this definitely fits the bill. Also, it's... I don't know. I don't think they could have made a full feature. They could have. Who am I kidding? There's enough content there. But would anyone really care to see a full-length Wind in the Willows? But maybe. Sure they would. I mean, if you care about the rescuers, why wouldn't you care about Wind in the Willows? Not that they're the same story, but they're just as, there's a fly in front of my face. Oh, this is going to be real annoying this whole time. What was I saying? Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't get the credit it deserves, although there is a ride for Mr. Toad in Disneyland. And Sleepy Hollow is a I don't know if it's a restaurant at both parks. It might be. I know it is for sure at Disney World in Magic Kingdom. And then previous Halloween party parades, I know at Magic Kingdom, maybe Disneyland. I don't know. I've never been to the one at Disneyland. The Headless Horseman opens the, I think it was like the Boo to You parade. Maybe that's the official title of that. I don't know. You might know, but I don't know. So they definitely have nods to them. So they're not completely overlooked. But when you say Mr. Toad, how many people think of the ride compared to how many people could think of the movie first? So I'm interested in that survey. Maybe I should start doing surveys on social media. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Fun. All right. Well, who's our cast here? We got Bing Crosby. He is doing the narration for the Legends of Sleepy Hollow. Or I guess more so the story of Ichabod Crane. Yeah, because that short is more about Ichabod Crane than like Sleepy Hollow as a whole. Anyhow, we got Basil Rathbone narrating the story of Mr. Toad and covering the voice of a policeman while he was at it. Look at that. We got Eric Blore. Is that how you would say that? Blore? Blore. Eric Blore was the voice of Mr. Toad, which is a whole lot of fun because Mr. Toad has one of the more exciting ways of, I don't know, more than just speaking, interacting. I don't know. J. Pat O'Malley is Cyril Proudbottom. He's credited as Pat O'Malley, which, wow, nailed it. Cyril Proudbottom is Mr. Toad's horse. Then John McLeish is the prosecutor. Credited as John Ployard, Ployardt. John McLeish is much easier. Colin Campbell is voice of Mole. Good old Moley. And then Campbell Grant was Angus McBadger. Claude Allister is Water Rat. Was that really his name? Water Rat? And Mole just got Mole? I thought they just called him Rat and called him Mole. I did not realize, I didn't realize he had a full name. I thought he was like Mole and just had the one name, Rat. So Mole really got overlooked in this. Poor Mole. Always being taken advantage of. Claude Allister, Water Rat, okay. Then we got Judd Connell's Rhythmaires. Additional voices as the Rhythmaires. Don't know what they did. I bet you singing? Where was there singing? Ichabod, or yeah, in the Ichabod portion, right? Makes sense. All right, Mel Blanc is Ichabod's laughing. Hey Mel, we need you to come in and just laugh a little bit, and you'll be one of the pieces to the Ichabod puzzle. Candido, 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 Candido. Whoa. Weasels. I guess he was all the weasels. That's fun. Our good buddy Pinto Colvig on hand to play another piece in the Ichabod puzzle as Ichabod Crane screaming, and then some other townspeople. So Ichabod is such a complex character. So far, we need two people to provide his, not even words, but reactions. Judd Conlon. Judd Conlon. Conlon. You tell me. More townsfolk. Then Leslie Dennison is the judge and first weasel. Oh, wow. The first weasel was special. Candy Candido wasn't enough for that first weasel. Mac McLean is more townsfolk. Man, a lot of people cover these townsfolk. Clarence Nash, we know that name. Can't really recall at the top of my head currently, but I wonder, why don't we just open it up? Let's see. What else has Clarence Nash done? Because that name is most definitely familiar. Fox and the Hound. He was the bear. Donald Duck's Summer Magic. He's Donald Duck. Oh, okay. So it looks like he's Donald Duck a lot here. Yeah, lots of Donald Duck. Okay, Clarence Nash. Got it. Let's go down here. Because anything... He was fun and fancy-free as Donald Duck. Cool. And I bet you that means he was also Donald in Saludos Amigos and Three Caballeros. He sure was. He was in Three Caballeros. And I'm going to presume Saludos Amigos. Because honestly, why would you be in one and not the other? There he is. Yep. And he was the bullfrog in Bambi. Okay, Clarence, you're up there with Pinto Colvig. You're one of our Disney dependables. Right. And then, wow. Louis Jean Norman, more townsfolk. Gee. Charlie Parlata, more townsfolk. Come on. Do we need all these townsfolk? Edmund Stevens is the second weasel. Okay. So when Candy Candido was given weasels as credit, like... Why not give him the first and second? Those weasels needed to sound more distinctive than the others, I guess. Okay. Oliver Wallace was Mr. Winky. And then Gloria Wood, more townsfolk. Jeez. So, hold on. I'm not seeing... What was his name? Brom Bones? He didn't have a voice, I guess. But he really kind of only spoke or did anything in the Headless Horseman song, and that was sang by Bing Crosby, so maybe he just got the credit for that. That didn't count Brom singing as an additional character. Maybe. I don't know. Hey, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. It's a 1949 American animated package film produced by Walt Disney Productions, released by RKO Radio Pictures, and directed by Clyde Geronimi, Jack Kinney, and James Alger, with Ben Sharpstein as production supervisor. It's the 11th animated film in the Disney animation canon. It consists of 2 segments, the first being based on the 1908 children's novel, The Wind in the Willows, by British author Kenneth Grahame, Grahame, Kenneth Grahame, Grahame, don't know how to pronounce that accurately, but whatever. You tell me how it's pronounced, and I'll say thanks. And then the second short, based on the 1820 short story, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, by American author Washington Irving. The film is the last of the studio's package film era of the 1940s, following Salidos Amigos from 1943, The Three Caballeros from 1945, Make Mine Music from 1946, Fun and Fancy Free from 1947, and Melody Time from 1948. Disney would not produce another package film until The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh in March 1977. So it'll be a hot minute before we watch and learn about another Walt Disney package film. Beginning in 1955, the two portions of the film were separated and televised as part of the Disneyland television series. They were later marketed and sold separately on home video. And you know what? That's how I most commonly remember it, because I have seen the Ichabod portion, the Ichabod Crane portion of The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad far more than I have of the Wind in the Willows, the Mr. Toad portion. So it felt odd doing the watch along. I'm like, man, I remember having seen Mr. Toad's Wild Ride is the ride, but the Wind in the Willows part, I recall having seen, but I didn't remember it enough to like really like. It was kind of, the portions of it were still felt fairly new to me. Like I wasn't sure. I knew what the general story was and like how it played out, but yeah, so that was fun. But the Sleepy Hollow part, yeah, every year for Halloween, I remember watching that in some way, shape, or form. That's why it puts me in such a Halloween and spooky time vibe. Hence the coffee. You know, speaking of the coffee. Oh yeah, it's just cold now. Sweet. The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad is the only Disney movie to star Basil Rathbone and Bing Crosby. Okay. That's all right. I didn't feel like either of them would just, pop up. Like, it was just expected that we'd seen them again. What an interesting little point of information. As the film's animated segments are based on literary works, they are both introduced in live-action scenes set in a library as a framing device. That's a library. I guess any kind of collection of books, be it like a government-funded facility or a room in a home, either can be a library. So, yeah, okay, I'll accept that. The first segment is introduced and narrated by Basil Rathbone, and the second segment is introduced and narrated by Bing Crosby. Decca Records issued an album called Ichabod, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, featuring Bing Crosby in 1949 to tie in with the release of the film. Fun. Wind in the Willows. This segment is based on the novel by Kenneth, here we go again, Graham, Grahame, Grahame, you tell me. The story is set in the around London, England, United Kingdom. Did I say the? Why did I say the? The story is set in and around, got it, London, England, United Kingdom, between June 10th, 1908 and January 1st, 1909. Interesting. That is a very fascinating, the story is set in this 6-month time. I guess because we see seasonal changes and stuff, maybe. I don't remember why that's so important. That's another piece of really important information, Basil Rathbone and Bing Crosby not being in any other Disney movie. It's like, oh, okay. let me jot that note down. The protagonist, J. Thaddeus Toad, Esquire, is introduced as an incurable adventurer, sure is, who never counted the cost. True. As the story once distinguishing element. As the story's one distinguishing element, they put like quotations around certain sentence fragments, and it makes my brain hurt. Anyway, so as the story's one distinguishing, or that says disturbing. Hold on. Yeah, I really need to get my eyes checked. Or that's the dyslexia, just, morphing words out of the letters surrounding it. Whatever. It's the one disturbing element, okay? It's disturbing. Shh. Quiet. I fixed it. It's done now. As the story's one disturbing element, although he is the wealthy proprietor of the Toad Hall estate, Toad's adventures and positive mania for fads, have brought him to the brink of bankruptcy. As a last resort, Ted's friend Angus McBadger volunteers as Toad's bookkeeper to help Toad keep his estate, which is a source of pride in the community. That's interesting. I don't know if you get that Angus McBadger volunteers to work for Toad as his bookkeeper. I just kind of thought that was his job, like he was taking a cut. That wasn't volunteer. He was just employed by Mr. Toad, J. Thaddeus Toad, Esquire. Cool. Angus McBadger. During the watch along, I said, I wonder if he knows Scrooge McDuck. They're an eerily similar character. Just one's a badger, one's a duck. One's a bookkeeper, one's a bajillionaire. One summer day, Angus McBadger asks Toad's friends, Ratty, a water rat, and Molly, a mole, to persuade Toad to give up his latest mania of recklessly driving about the countryside in a horse and gypsy cart. Don't know if that's politically correct anymore. I can't keep up. Anyhow, it's a carriage. Let's just call it a carriage and make everybody happy. Let's see. A horse and a carriage, which could accumulate a great deal of financial liability and damaged property. He's not wrong. Ratty and Molly confront Toad, but are unable to change his mind. Toad then sees a motor car for the first time and becomes entranced by the new machine, having been taken over by motor mania. So much mania. Mr. Toad's life. J. Thaddeus, man. The maniacal J. Thaddeus Toad Esquire. I think that's kind of cool. I kind of like that. Actually, where were we? Hold on. Sometimes I feel like it's okay to go through the synopsis of the story, and then other times I'm just like, why not just watch the watch along? Right? Maybe I will. So that's the gist, okay, of, I'm not gonna, because we'll avoid, presumably you've already seen it, so avoiding, spoilers and such. But then again, at the same time, is it good to give, a synopsis so we really, truly understand what the story is? I don't know. I'm just gonna continue. Anyhow. To cure Toad's new mania, Ratty and Molly put Toad under house arrest. However, Toad escapes and is later arrested and charged with car theft. At his trial, Toad represents himself and calls his horse Cyril Proudbottom as his first witness. Cyril testifies that the car which Toad was accused of stealing had already been stolen by a gang of weasels. Toad had entered a tavern where the car was parked and offered to buy the car from the weasels. However, since Toad had no money, he instead offered to trade Toad Hall for the car, which let me tell you, that is a very imbalanced trade. Anyhow, where did I? Okay, the prosecutor and judge show disbelief towards the statement. So Toad then calls the bartender, Mr. Winky, as a witness to the agreement. However, when told by Toad to explain what actually happened, Mr. Winky falsely testifies, under oath, mind you, that Toad had tried to sell him the stolen car. Toad is found guilty on the spot and sentenced to 20 years in the Tower of London. As the months passed by, Toad's friends make every effort to appeal his case, but to no avail. What a riveting crime drama. And you know what? Mr. Toad's Wild Ride at Disneyland does a pretty good job telling the gist of this story. Let's see. On Christmas Eve. Okay, so maybe that's why we are passing time. Oh, and I guess it gives us kind of like a time frame of how long J. Thaddeus Toad was in prison since we got the 6-month time frame of when this takes place. So on Christmas Eve, Cyril visits Toad in disguise as his grandmother and helps him escape by giving him a disguise of his own, which looked like the exact same disguise, just in Toad size. Toad quickly runs to the railway station and hijacks a 240 steam locomotive. That's very specific. He drives out of the station, heading towards the riverbank without getting caught by the police on another train, I'm presuming a 240 steam locomotive. Meanwhile, Angus McBadger discovers that Mr. Winky is the leader of the Weasel Gang and that they have indeed taken over Toad Hall. Mr. Winky himself is in possession of the deed, knowing that the deed bearing Toad and Mr. Winky's signatures would prove Toad's innocence. The four friends sneak into Toad Hall and take the document after a grueling chase around the estate by the Weasels. This really kind of just skips entirely over the reuniting of Ratty, Molly, and Mr. Toad. The film ends on New Year's Day with Toad exonerated and regaining his house, while it is implied that Mr. Winky and the Weasels have been arrested and imprisoned. Does it really imply that? As McBadger, Ratty, and Molly celebrate the new year with a toast to Toad, who they believe has completely reformed. Toad and Cyril, I almost called him Cereal. Toad and Cyril recklessly fly past on a 1903 Wright Flyer. Toad has not truly reformed and has developed a mania for airplanes. So much mania. Everyone is so manic. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. The second segment is based on the original story by Washington Irving. Although the film introduces the story as Ichabod Crane, later individual releases retained the story's original title as a short story, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, and was originally published in the sketchbook with other stories, not as a single volume as pictured in the film. Wow, fascinating. So the film lied to us. There is no single volume of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. In October 1790, Ichabod Crane, a lanky, superstitious, yet charming dandy, arrives in Sleepy Hollow, New York, a small village outside Tarrytown that is renowned for its ghostly hauntings, to be the town's new schoolmaster. Okay, well, I confused that. So he moved to Sleepy Hollow to be the new schoolmaster, okay? Despite his odd behavior, appearance, and effeminate mannerisms, wow. I wouldn't actually call them effeminate, would you? Presuming you've watched the movie, I found nothing truly effeminate about Ichabod Crane. Although, not even although, his mannerisms I would classify as more like meek, you know? Very timid. But he does have like an aura of confidence about him. I'm not sure. Effeminate mannerisms just didn't, I don't know. Ichabod soon wins the hearts of the village's women and forms good friendships with his students. Brom Bones, the rough or the ruggish, I am so sorry, roguish. Man, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. Brom Bones, the roguish town hero, does his best to bully Ichabod. However, he is very good at ignoring. Oh, man, that ended the sentence right there. Bully Ichabod. It ended that sentence. However, he is really good at ignoring these taunts. He, as an Ichabod, and continues to interact with the townspeople. One day, Ichabod meets and falls in love with Katrina Van Tassel. Let me tell you about Katrina Van Tassel. Her affections were not shared with Ichabod. She was, I'm going to throw it out there. I'm going to say it. Katrina's kind of a hussy. Okay? Got it. The beautiful daughter of the wealthy Blattus Van Tassel. Blattus Van Tassel. Baltus, right? That's how they said it. Blattus Van Tassel and Brom's unofficial fiance. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know they were unofficially engaged. See? Katrina's just not a girl you bring home to mom. You know what I mean? Despite being obsessed with Katrina's beauty, Ichabod mainly desires to take her family's money for himself. So Ichabod's kind of shady on his own accord as well. Brom, who has never been challenged like this, proceeds to compete with the schoolmaster, but Ichabod wins Katrina over at every opportunity. Does he, though? Unbeknownst to both men, Katrina is only using Ichabod to make Brom jealous and force him to try harder for her affections. See what I mean? Nobody in this story is of good virtue. Okay? Let's stop pretending that to be the case. Is anyone pretending that to be the case? The two love rivals are invited to the Van Tassel Halloween party. Brom attempts to get Ichabod to dance with a plump woman instead of Katrina. See, poor value. All of them. And later attempts to have him fall through a cellar door, but both attempts backfire. While both men dine, Brom catches Ichabod accidentally knocking the salt shaker over and nervously tossing salt over his shoulder. Why could my mouth just stopped working? Nervously tossing salt over his shoulder. My mouth, I almost forgot how to speak again. Discovering Ichabod's weakness is superstition, he decides to sing the tale of the legendary Headless Horseman. The horseman supposedly travels the woods on Halloween each year, searching for a living head to replace the one he had lost. And the only way to escape the ghost is to cross the covered bridge. Cool. Well, it says a covered bridge, but I'm pretty sure it was the covered bridge, right? Or do they have a lot of covered bridges? I don't know. Everyone else, including Katrina, finds the song amusing, while Ichabod, on the other hand, starts to fear for his life. See? Meek, nervous, panicky. Riding home from the party, Ichabod becomes paranoid of every sound he hears in the dark woods. While traveling through the old cemetery, Ichabod believes he hears the sound of a horse galloping towards him, but discovers the sound is being made by nearby cattails bumping on a log. He and his horse begin to laugh. However, their laughter is cut short by the appearance of the Headless Horseman, wielding a sword and riding what appears to be Brom's black horse. Yeah, see, I always understood it to be Brom. But they kind of leave that open-ended. After being chased through the dark forest, Ichabod, remembering Brom's advice, rides across the covered bridge to stop the ghost's pursuit. The horseman stops and throws his flaming head, revealed to be a jack-o'-lantern, right at Ichabod's face, presumably knocking him out. I mean, yeah, that's the vibe I got. But then, all right, anyways, let's just keep going. The next morning, Ichabod's hat is found at the bridge next to the shattered jack-o'-lantern. Shattered. Where did that accent come from? Shattered jack-o'-lantern. My mouth, I can't speak. I'm so sorry. I apologize profusely. The shattered jack-o'-lantern. Whew. But Ichabod himself is nowhere to be found. Sometime later, Brom takes Katrina as his wife. Rumors begin to spread that Ichabod is still alive, married to a wealthy widow in a distant county with children who all look like him. However, the superstitious people of Sleepy Hollow insist that he has been spirited away by the Headless Horseman. And you know what? I honestly kind of like how they leave that open-ended, you know? It's nice. It adds to the lore. Because they do never really confirm what happened. They don't, not that they don't really, they don't. They don't confirm what happens after we see the jack-o'-lantern shatter. Like, we don't even really see it hit Ichabod's face, do we? We just believe it does. So, if you like Ichabod, you know, you can continue with your belief that he married a wealthy widow in a distant country, or county, sorry. County. Ugh. Or you could believe he's been spirited away. Quote, unquote, spirited away by the Headless Horseman. Which do you prefer? I like the latter. I like the idea that the Headless Horseman's real and got him. But it could just be Brom playing a trick. Now, I'm going to try to get through this, but with the way my mouth is working and tongue and all that, don't count on it being good, okay? That's expectations. See? Those are expectations you're placing that I'm telling you I probably can't live up to at the moment. So, anyway, production. In 1938, shortly after the release of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, James Bodrero, Bodrero, and Campbell Grant pitched to Walt Disney the idea of making a feature film of Kenneth Graham's 1908 children's book, The Wind and the Willows. Wow. So The Wind and the Willows was an idea like right after Snow White. So what, like 10 years later, it gained some sort of traction. Bodrero and Grant felt that The Wind in the Willows, with its anthropomorphized animals, could only be produced using animation. To persuade Disney to approve the film, Bodrero, Bodrero, Bodrero. I'm going to say Bodrero because his name is clearly going to pop up quite a bit. Bodrero. Let's see. Disney to approve the film. Bodrero and Grant prepared a what is that word? Leica. Leica reel? What does that mean? Prepared a Leica reel. In film, specifically animation, a Leica reel is a type of soundboarding or storyboarding. See, I told you I was just like, my brain is not in this right now. In film, specifically animation, is it Leica reel? Leica reel is a type of storyboarding device used in the production of potential scenes or features. Unlike actual storyboards or pitches, Leica reels are used later in the development process, usually after voice actors have been hired to and recorded. Huh. Interesting. Fun. Okay. Which combines storyboard stills with rough dialogue performance by members of the animation staff. Disney was skeptical, however, and felt it would be awful corny. That's interesting. But acquired the rights in April that year. The film was intended to be a single narrative feature film with the title of the same name. So we almost got The Wind in the Willows full feature from Disney. After some delays due to story rewrites, James Alger was appointed to direct the film. By April 1941, work on The Wind in the Willows had begun as animators and writers had come from Bambi. So they jumped off Bambi and dove into The Wind and the Willows. Bambi, which was nearly complete. Okay. When the Disney animators strike was finished in October 1941, Joe Rosenberg of the Bank of America issued an ultimatum in which he would permit an absolute loan limit of $3.5 million, and in return, he ordered the studio to restrict itself to producing animated shorts and to finish features already in production, Dumbo, Bambi, and The Wind in the Willows. But no other feature film would work. Oh, wait, hold on. But no other feature film would begin work until they had been released and earned their costs back. Interesting. Okay. In response, the studio's feature film production included early versions of Alice in Wonderland and Lady and the Tramp, and they were heavily scaled back while The Wind in the Willows was kept in production as animation work had already begun. However, after reviewing the animation footage, Disney decided to shelve the project, deciding that the quality was too far below the standard necessary to be successful on all markets. Interesting. So I wonder what the rest of The Wind in the Willows looked like, and if those storyboards and, the Leica reel still exists. Okay, The Wind in the Willows resumed production in 1946. Following his military service in World War II, animator Frank Thomas was reassigned to direct additional footage for Wind in the Willows alongside James Alger in hopes of salvaging the project. Under Walt's strict orders, the film was shortened down to a length of 25 minutes. However, the project was shelved again following layoffs in August 1946. Meanwhile, in December 1946, Disney started production on a new animated feature, an adaptation of Washington Irving's The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, which was to be co-directed by Jack Kinney and Clyde Geronimi. So I wonder if The Legend of Sleepy Hollow was intended to be a full feature as well. Yeah, a new animated feature film. So there was almost a full feature of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow as well. What? I would like to watch that. But they summed up the whole story pretty well in like 25 minutes. So I wonder if more would have just been overkill, or there would have been more of like flushing out certain characters. Anyway, around this same time, there were plans developed to combine The Wind in the Willows with The Legend of Sleepy Hollow and The Gremlins, an original story developed by author Ronald Dahl, into a package film entitled Three Fabulous Characters. When The Gremlins failed to materialize, the title was changed to Two Fabulous Characters. Then, The Legend of Happy Valley was cut from the project in favor of pairing it with Bongo, in which the two shorts were where the two shorts were incorporated under the title Fun and Fancy Free. Okay, The Legend of Happy Valley, that is Mickey and the Beanstalk as well. So, also known as Mickey and the Beanstalk, The Legend of Happy Valley. Okay, cool. Found and Fantasy Free, which was eventually released in 1947. In late 1947, Disney decided to pair The Legend of Sleepy Hollow with The Wind and the Willows into a singular package, which, as neither part was long enough to be a feature film. The new film was later given the final title, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. Well-known celebrities Basil Rathbone and Bing Crosby were cast as narrators in order to provide mass audience appeal. Interesting. So what I find so fascinating here is, what was The Gremlins? The Gremlins is a book written by Ronald Dahl and published in 1943. That doesn't give a lot of info. It was Dahl's first book and was written for Walt Disney Productions in anticipation of a feature-length animated film that was never made. The story concerns mischievous mythical creatures, the Gremlins, of the title, invoked by Royal Air Force pilots as an explanation of mechanical troubles and mishaps. In Dahl's book, the Gremlins' motivation for sabotaging British aircraft is revenge of the destruction of their forest home, which was razed to make way for an aircraft factory. Okay, the principal character in the book, Gus, has his Hawker Hurricane fighter destroyed over the English Channel by a gremlin, but is able to convince the gremlins as they are parachute into the water that they should join forces against a common enemy, Hitler and the Nazis, rather than fight each other. Eventually, the Gremlins are retrained by the Air Force to repair rather than sabotage aircraft and restore Gus to active flight status after a particularly severe crash. The book also contains picturesque details about the ordinary lives of gremlins. Baby gremlins, for instance, are known as widgets, and females are fifinellas, a name taken from the great fly racehorse Fifinella that won both the Derby and Epsom Oaks in 1916, the year Dahl was born. Interesting. So that book, I guess, does exist out there, but in no way would that have kind of fit alongside Wind in the Willows and The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. That's fascinating. I want a copy of that book, The Gremlins, now. Let's see. Critical reception. The New York Times praised the film, saying that Mr. Disney abetted by his staff, man, I am just like all kinds of choppy today. Let's start over, huh? What do you say? The New York Times praised the film, saying that Mr. Disney abetted by his staff such perfect narrators as Bing Crosby and Basil Rathbone, and a pair of durable literal works has fashioned a conclave of cartoon creatures which by and large have the winsome qualities and charm of such noted creations as Mickey Mouse, Dumbo, etc. Interesting. In Variety, they felt the film ranked among the best full-length cartoons turned out by Disney Studios. On The Wind and the Willows, Herman Schoenfield commented that it has a subtle satirical edge on its comedy, which will limit its appreciation to adult audiences. Well, I mean, why would it limit its appreciation to adult audiences? The Irving legend, however, is treated with splashes of color and broad strokes of humor and violence, really, that will appeal in a fundamental way to all age groups. Together, they comprise a solid package of varied entertainment. So it sounds like everybody pretty much really dug The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. Like, here's another one that says, one of Disney's finest works he's ever done. So, box office film gross, 1,200,000 in domestic retails or rentals in the United States and Canada. Cumulatively, it earned 1,625,000 in worldwide rentals. And it won a Golden Globe for Best Cinematography Color. Fascinating. Television airings. The Mr. Toad segment of The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad was first screened on television in edited form as part of the inaugural season of the Disneyland Anthology series on February 2nd, 1955, under the title The Wind and the Willows. Wow, they really juggled those titles back and forth, huh? It was paired with an edited version of Disney's The Reluctant Dragon, due to the fact that both cartoons are based on stories by author Kenneth Graham. I'm still calling him Graham. Graham. The Ichabod segment of the film had its television premiere during the following season of TV's Disneyland on October 26th, 1955, under the title The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Notably for this airing of Sleepy Hollow and the subsequent reruns, a new 14-minute animated prologue was added recounting the life of Washington Irving, the story's author. This prologue has never been released on home media. Interesting. I would like to find a copy of that some way, somehow. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow was released on its own to theaters as a 33-minute featurette in September 1963. This was the same edit presented on the Disneyland television series, minus the 14-minute prologue and the Walt Disney live-action host segments. Similarly, in 1978, the Wind and the Willows segment of the original film was re-released to theaters under the new title, The Madcap Adventures of Mr. Toad, to accompany Disney's feature film Hot Lead and Cold Feet. Or is it Hot Lead and Cold Feet? Hot Lead and Cold Feet or Hot Lead and Cold Feet? Lead feet? I don't know. Hot Lead. Lead? Lead. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow had a subsequent television airing and as part of the TV specials Halloween Hall of Fame 1977 and Disney's Halloween Treat 1982. So I feel like I've seen one of those in a rerun format. Probably Disney's Halloween Treat, I would imagine. Once it was split into two segments for airing on the Disneyland television series, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad was not available for viewing in its original form for many years. thereafter, but was instead screened as 2 individual items. When first released on home video, the segments retained their names from the Disneyland series, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow and The Wind in the Willows, respectively, having taken their names from the original stories. Fascinating. Some of the scenes were cut when the segments were split for home video release. For example, The Wind in the Willows, part of the introduction was cut because of the new music added. The scene where Angus McBadger confronts the angry townspeople who are suing Toad, that was cut out. The newspaper scene regarding Toad's disgrace was shortened by removing the newspaper articles of his friend's attempt to reopen his case. When Toad realizes he is underwater after unknowingly jumping into a river to elude the police pursuing him, there is a brief full-body scene of Toad frantically trying to pull out the ball and chain he is shackled to up from the floor of the river. That part I really didn't understand, simply because earlier in the film he's carrying the ball attached to his ball and chain like it's nothing. So like all of a sudden he's in water and he can't lift it again. Like that makes sense why they would kind of cut that out. And then The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, the only thing that was cut was the introduction and the bookcases. So there you have it. Home media, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad received its first complete home video release in the UK in 1991 and in the US in 1992 when it was released by Walt Disney Home Video on Laserdisc. Oh, I think I actually asked if it was on Laserdisc in the watch-along. A subsequent complete re-release on VHS followed in 1999 as the last title in the Walt Disney Masterpiece Collection line. In 2000, it appeared on DVD for the first time as part of the Walt Disney Golden Classics or Golden Classic Collection line. In the 1963 theatrical version of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow was re-released on VHS in 1982, 1990, and 1994. The 1978 theatrical version of The Wind in the Willows was re-released on VHS in 1982, 88, and 1996. The same version of The Wind in the Willows was issued on DVD for the first time in 2009 as part of the 5th volume of the Walt Disney Animation Collection Classic Short Film Series. Both had been re-released to video subsequently in the US and in the early 80s as white clamshell releases, even though Fun and Fancy Free had been released in its entirety around the same time. Interesting. I wonder why they chopped it up for those white clamshell VHS cases are like one of the most iconic pieces of my childhood. The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad was re-released on Blu-ray, DVD, digital HD, and in 2 film collections with Fun and Fancy Free on August 12th, 2014. It was also re-released as solely on Blu-ray, DVD, and digital copy combo, and a standalone DVD exclusively to Walmart stores. The film was available on Disney Plus when the streaming service launched November 12th, 2019. Woo. That's exciting. I also want to look this up, okay? So, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Okay. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride is a theme park attraction and dark ride at Disneyland Park in Anaheim, California. It is loosely based on the Disney adaptation of Kenneth Grahame's Wind in the Willows, one of 2 segments comprising the animated package, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. So it's located in Fantasyland, opened on July 17th, 1955. It's original. And then it reopened May 23rd, 1983, having closed in 1982 prior to that. Interesting. Then, I guess there was one in Magic Kingdom at Disney World, also in Fantasyland. It has been removed. It opened October 1st, 1971, and then closed September 7th, 1998. I wonder why. Replaced by, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. That makes sense. So yeah, there's a nod to Mr. Toad. It's one of the most beautifully done rides, for sure. I think, at least. And then let's see. There is Sleepy. Let's see. Disney. Sleepy. Disney's Sleepy Hollow. Well, restaurant. Let's put that. Restaurant. Okay. Oh, there is actually quite a bit of info. Let's see. I know I'm saying that a lot. I'm just waiting for pages to load. I'm trying to kill time. I can really kill time, but Sleepy Hollow is located in Liberty Square at Magic Kingdom. In-park dining requires a reservation and valid admission. Okay, yeah. So yeah. They got breakfast and snack menu. I guess there's not really going to be too much more info just on the, restaurant. But it is nice to know that at both Disneyland and Magic Kingdom, there are tastes of the adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. And these characters are still relatively embraced by the masses, and at least relatively well recognized by the parks themselves. So, hope you dug it. Man, I don't know. Maybe I should have finished my coffee before doing this, but my voice was getting all dry and sticky, and I don't know. My brain just couldn't make sense of words I was trying to read. So I really, all in all, this was a pretty standard retrospective, right? Oh, hey, if you haven't already, on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on, maybe you're on the website listening to this, but whatever podcast platform you might be on, or you may be inspired to download, please, if you don't mind, leave a rate, subscribe first and foremost, leave a rating and a review, hopefully positive ones. That's truly the best way for people to be introduced to the podcast. Also, if you want to do some more overall support of Leal Legacy and everything we do here, why not shop our Skeleton Crew store? We got new characters being developed all the time that are Leal Legacy icon characters. I don't know what to call them really, but characters specifically designed to be used in conjunction with all Leal Legacy, productions and such. Branded Skeleton Crew. Skeleton Crew is the clothing line, lifestyle brand, what have you, that feature these characters. It's like the equivalent of wearing a Mickey Mouse shirt, but it's Leal Legacy. You know what I mean? I think it's cool. Scope out our shop, grab a shirt, a hoodie, long sleeve, mugs. I don't know. Got a whole bunch of stuff, always cycling in and out. We have a Disnerd collection that'll always be available and added to. that features just Disney-esque tributes using our Skeleton Crew characters, and some original adaptation of Disney parks' iconic characters, maybe. I guess would be the best way to put that. I don't know. Go scope it out. SkeletonCrewBrand.com, and that's CRUE, Skeleton Crew, or LealLegacy.com/shop. Either way, just go to LealLegacy.com and you can find it there. We're going to be venturing on, well, we started doing another episode, podcast style segment, I don't know. We got retrospectives, that's what you're listening to now, and we have introspectives. If you want to learn everything there is to know about Skeleton Crew, listen to our episode of Radnarok, an introspective episode about Skeleton Crew. So maybe that'll give you another some more motivation to shop our store and support the Leal Legacy as well as you can. We're also going to be doing some new retrospectives that are in conjunction with vlogentaries. If you don't know about vlogentaries, go to LealLegacy.com and scope out, the content we have under our Legacy TV tab, or on YouTube. Just go to our YouTube and type in vlogantary. It's like commentary and vlog mixed together. I'm not a good vlogger, but I'm really good at running my mouth over things, providing commentary, hence these Disney watch-alongs. I'm going to be doing what are called ride-alongs. Ride-alongs in our vlogantary series, where we ride various, right now, and it may expand later on in the future, but we ride rides at Disney parks together. I got video of the ride itself, and I will be providing my vlogantary commentary over the footage collected of the ride. So I'll do the ride along via video, and then we will have retrospectives as companion podcasts to those rides, where we will learn everything we didn't know we wanted to know about all these Disney attractions and rides. See? Sound cool? I think it does. Either way, I'm gonna do it, so hopefully you dig it too. Also part of Legacy TV and on our YouTube channel, you can scope out our classic cartoon commentaries. At this point in time, there are 200 plus classic cartoons that I have provided commentary for directly over the animation. So there's no need to sync audio with visuals like we do for our watch-alongs. It's just all right there for you. You just hit play and hopefully chuckle and enjoy my rantings and ravings. So I think that's about it, right? Those are all the necessary plugs. Social media, you can find Leal Legacy across all your favorite social media platforms, just at Leal Legacy. And voila, there you have it. Thanks for listening, everyone. And I hope you're as stoked on the adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad as I am, because it's especially the Ichabod part. Both of them, really. Both of them are definitely just Disney treasures, and they rank high up on my list, my personal list of favorites in the Disney animation canon. I like that term too, the Disney animation canon. I'm gonna start using that moving forward. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys, and I will catch you next time. See ya.